Shalom, everyone. Happy first day of the week, right? First day of the week. Uh, that last broadcast sounded a little funny. Let me try to get up a little closer here. Let me keep my background in there. I'm really out here, y'all. That ain't no green screen. I'm really out here. That's my front yard, y'all looking at. That's how it looks. We out here. But yeah, for those that was asking that question. But yeah, we did try to hit the church yesterday, and y'all heard me deal with what I was dealing with at the end of that last segment, right? I was contemplating whether I wanted to go to church or not. And I tried to go, and we blew a tire. I had a blowout. I'm doing about 75 in the fast lane on the 60, headed to Pomona. And I feel the car sliding, It's getting harder for me to control it. And then it start bumping, boom, 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 boom. And when it starts doing that, I realized that the tire was gone. And they had been telling us about that tire too, to replace it. It was going bald, so yeah, we blew that tire out and went over to the side of the road and tripped this. Check the Most High out. We got a little piece of shoulder up against the divider, and we slide over to that. And I'm like, man, these cars is blowing past us. Every car got the car doing this, And we got the divider over here, and then we have enough space barely for the car to fit, right? And then we have that yellow line. So I'm like, man, I gotta get us out of this situation here, right? So, I'm talking to the Most High in my head all day. That's a given, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, please, Father, let's get to the other side, of this highway or this freeway. So I go forward a little bit just to see, how I'm able to maneuver, if I'm able to make it across, if I can, see it, if I see the opportunity. And yeah, even though the tire was gone, it was still, I noticed I blew a lot of tires. And I noticed it was going faster than usual. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, if I'm able to get across, I could get the speed and get across. And that didn't happen, man. I'm stuck on the side, and these cars are coming so fast, and it's about 5, 6 lanes to get across, and I give up that idea. I'm like, okay, let's figure something else out. So, I have Sister Mav jump on the phone. She calls AAA. She calls the cops. She calls the cops for one of them can come and escort us to the safe side of the freeway, right? So she makes those 2 calls, and then we're just sitting there, right? And then I look up, and the whole freeway, okay, all 5, 6 lanes, got a gap in it, no cars. I'm like, wow, and I had never shut the engine off, you know, out of faith, I guess. And I blow it, I get across, and it's much space over there. I pull way out of the way of the freeway, and we sitting there again for another 5 minutes or so. This is my wife's car, and even though it's her car, it dawns on me we have everything we need to switch this tire out. So we got a spare back there. We got a jack, you know. We got everything we need to lift this car up. We got the lug changer and all that. So I jump in the back, I get the stuff out, I get the spare out, I get the jack out, I get the winder joint to take the tire off, and I jack the car up, and I'm about to start twisting the tire off. It's a car swerves in front of us crazy. He jumps out of his tow truck, him and his whole family, right? And they insist on not letting me touch my vehicle. Okay? Move, get out the way. And then I'm telling them, no, I'm cool, I'm all right. Y'all go ahead. I got this. You know what I mean? And they changed the tire for me. And they come out, they're a tow truck, so they got all the tools, He buzzed the tire off, buzzed the new tire back on, and they say peace, you know what I mean? And they didn't want no money or nothing, but there's a kid there, the youngest one there, he's still standing there. So I slip him a little something, you know what I'm saying? You know how your grandmother used to do you, and she'd act like she grabbing your hand, but she got some money in it. She do you like that. I did the youngest one like that, slid him a bill, so all praise to the Most High for that. They get off, but that was the thing I used to do. I used to show up to church. Who cares what time it was? I wasn't even looking at no clocks. I know it was a Sabbath. I know people was at the Sabbath gathering. And whenever time I got there, it was when I got there. It'd be the middle of the day sometime, and I'll just say, okay, everybody, let's go to church. And we'll load up and we go to church. And I had a thing where I had got conscious about that. You know what I'm saying? So, and of course I'm running the sound now, so I gotta kind of like be there first. I gotta be with the team that get there first, right? And open the door, right? Brother James and all of us, and used to be Kazak, Brother James now, so I got my thing. I gotta get there early. But at this time, I mean, we'd have been late. We'd have been an hour or two late. So I'm like, man, whatever. Let's turn around, spin around, go back to the crib. But that's how that happened. And the whole time I'm knowing that that's the Most High saying, well, you should have stayed home. And I knew that. I could feel that, right? I could feel that he wanted me to stay home. And I went against it. Why? For the love. For the love, right? Because there's no law against love, right? You're like, nah, I want you to stay home. So next time I feel like that, right? Just stay home. Right? Went through all of that. Had to go to another place, get a new tire. Right? Went through a lot yesterday on the Sabbath. Right? But yeah, I'm hoping y'all catching my S's and T's, because I noticed the S's and T's was a little messed up on the last video. So I'm gonna have to do something. I mean, this ain't my setup, y'all. I'm gonna have to get another camera, you know, so it could look better for y'all, and probably get some mics and things so it could sound better. Cause I noticed it wasn't picking up the S's and T's. And if I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna have to up the video equipment. I got stuff to film music videos, but that ain't gonna work for going live. You know, I need like a boom to come this way, bang, be right here. I need a boom, put the mic on, and if I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna need to do it right, right? But Shalom, everybody. Who we got up in here? The Brewcast, Shalom, Mark T Baby, Shalom, JD, Shalom, Francis Johnson, Shalom, right? Richard T, Shalom, Prope Service, Shalom, Stan Williams, Shalom. Uh, you be blessed too, brother. Uh, Miss Clemens, Shalom. Kwam Kadash, Shalom. Is that my brother Yesai? Shalom, Mark Brunity. James, Shalom. Reuben Israel, Shalom. Precious Jew, Shalom. Pray y'all had a blessed Sabbath yesterday. Be humble, Shalom. Uh, yeah, what I wanted to talk about today was what I've been mentioning a lot. You might have heard me mention it quite a few times since we've been doing this. 2015. Okay, that's the year things had happened. That's the year of what I call the selection, right? That's when I was chosen by love, you know, and my fault. I'm about to look into something really quick, you know. Brief pause for a second. Okay. All right. I had when you start doing this music, right? Uh, if it's effective, you're gonna feel things go on. The spiritual world, what goes on in the spiritual world eventually spills over into the physical world, right? So when this music first started going out, right, and to the extent that it started reaching y'all, something happens in the invisible realm, right? Things get stirred up over there, right? There was a war in heaven type thing, right? And that spills over into the physical. So I'm chilling 2014 sometime, and I'm feeling secure. I've been in the most high at this time about 6 years, 2008. And it took me, I was rough around the edges, maybe about 2 years, double-minded, fighting with it, fighting things up off of me. And I remember the crazy extents that I had to go to get certain things off of me. And I had to do things that, you know, the average person wouldn't have done. And I knew it then that the average person wouldn't be going through this to stop doing this, you know. And I knew the Most High would appreciate that. But that's how strung up I was on becoming righteous. I did a lot of weird things, and we'll get into that on another one of these at a later date. But yeah, I did some strange things to get right. But I start seeing, I start noticing, that I was becoming a pretty much a different person in about 2010, 2011, right? And then my reward for that was boom, I found the church, you know. So I learned of the church, I saw the Satan's religions video where Elder got on that blue shirt, and he's breaking down all of the religions, and I was struck, right? I used to be up all night watching them videos, you know what I'm saying? Uh my wife thought I was cheating and everything. Like, who you talking to on that computer? I'm like, I'm studying. She wasn't hearing that because that was rare. You didn't get a man in front of a computer for 23 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't happen like that. So she thinking I'm like doing some type of backsliding type thing or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a rough time. You know, but yeah, I find church in 2011 or so, 2000, early 2012. No, it was like into 2011. So 2012, 2013, 14, right? So I'm about 3 years in to knowing the church, being involved in the church. And I had start putting music out. Hold on, who was that? Oh, okay. I'm putting music out about 3 years, 3, 4 years, and it started gaining the traction, So it was around 2014 or so when, remember what I told you, what's going on in the spiritual realm eventually spills over into the physical realm. So it's 2014 when my whole world just goes crazy and I don't understand it. I know it's the devil because when I was getting right, the devil, see you guys, the devil gets desperate, right? And if you don't believe in, you know, the spiritual realm and all that goes on there, this will make you a believer when it's spilling over into the physical, right? Women was one of the things I dealt with, that was the hardest thing. One of the last things to go was my love for women, right? Okay, so what I have to do, I had to walk around about 2.5 years without a phone, right? Because that phone kept getting me into trouble. So I ditched the phone. I went back to the 80s and 90s because that's when we didn't have a phone in our pocket. I remember them days, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a spring chicken, you know what I'm saying? I'm an older brother, so I remember in the 80s and 90s we didn't have no phone in our pockets. I remember when we was excited when the beeper came. I had pagers and beepers and stuff like that. I was one of them guys. Beep 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 beep. I gotta, you know, I was around in them days. But yeah, I went back to them days. I ditched the phone. You know, and I lost out on a lot of opportunities that way. But hey, we got to get right. You know, these phones are causing problems. These phones are coming in between me and the Most High. So I'm looking at the phone like an idol. You know, like whatever comes between you and the Most High is your God, right? So okay, never mind the phone. You know, but uh, you know, these women got aggressive, man, and I stopped getting dressed because I used to love to get dressed and stay shaved and smell good and have on a nice outfit, and you know what I mean. That was important to me. I didn't come outside without that. But that's one thing. When you become spiritual, that flesh stop mattering. The bigger and the harder you go in the spirit, you know the funnier that's gonna weigh over on the flesh, right? So, I stopped getting dressed. I stopped shaving the way I was shaving. I stopped, you know what I mean? I start staying in the house. I'm not trying to go out. Why? Because things happen when you're out, right? I learned my lesson that way, the hard way. I'm gonna just go out, ain't nothing gonna happen, and then all kind of crazy stuff happen, right? Kind of like how it, how the Sabbath was yesterday. I didn't end up making it to church, you know, but yeah, that's how it used to be. Yeah, I'm gonna just go out, ain't nothing gonna happen. You know what I mean? And things would happen. So I'm staying in the house, now I'm spending most of my time in the house. I'm really only coming out to grocery shop and do things like that, So I just put my feet in my slippers, jump in some slides or something and just go to the store, looking halfway any kind of way, you know what I'm saying? And I have these women, these beautiful women approaching me in the grocery store, when I'm looking like I just rolled out of bed and I'm not even dressed, and that's when I knew this is the devil, you know, women that I never could get when I was looking good, you know what I'm saying? When I was at my best, you know what I mean? These are the kind of women are like, looking at me like, you don't need to be trying to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? These are the women that, they sparking up spiritual, they're sparking up conversation. And uh, I knew it had to be spiritual too. I learned that later, the spirit will draw women to you, and yeah, it was something going on in the spiritual world. It's spilling over into the physical, because I know this woman should not like me, and all she wants to do is ruin what I got going. You know what I'm saying? What me and the Most High have going. She wants to defile that, and that's the devil in her. The devil send his minions the same way the Most High will send us to do things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, what song is that I referred to that? I'm sitting and writing, little things that pop up and you put it in the song. So, uh, that went into what's the name of that song? It's on the album. It's on side B. Uh, I'm ready. Go listen to I'm ready. That's where all of that's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Real deal. So yeah, the devil is showing out, man. He get desperate and he start showing out. He wants you to know that uh he understands what's going on and he's trying to attack and he wants you to fold, and he's willing to give you whatever you want for you to fold, right? And that's when I started understanding that, like, wow, all of these opportunities coming at me, money opportunities coming at me. You know what I'm saying? I used to do quite a bit of illegal things, right? And I have that calling me, trying to call me back into the game, deals, right, that never happened to me a day while I was knee deep in that, and I know it was just, stuff trying to pull me back. So, you know, it was hard getting right, y'all, and that's why uh I don't speak to y'all knowing or believing that it's easy. I know it's hard. I know what I'm telling you to get ready to go through when I'm talking to you, right? And I empathize with you on that, but we got to do it. We still got to do it. And once you do it, man, it's beautiful, right? Right? Like I said, it's hard to sin now. It's hard to go that way now, right? And I'm fixed in that. I'm fixed in the right thing to do. I'm fixed in it. It's hard to do the wrong thing, right? And I believe that's why the Most High showed me what he showed me. He showed me my eternity. I know I wasn't coming back here to screw it up and go to hell. He made that clear, right? It's it's totally an act of love that I'm back here, and it's to tell you these things, right? So you guys who are here live while it's going down, you guys are blessed. You know what I'm saying? Because how this may go is it's a diamond in the rough. It's not going to be easy to find. It's only going to be a few of us, but when it matters, that's when everybody's going to come. That's the way the music did. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of y'all who've been here from the beginning regarding the music. Y'all remember when I had 100 views, 200 views, 300 views on the video, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden it just exploded. I jumped on here one morning and something is pushing, 5, 6, 700,000 views. I'm like, whoa, how did this happen? So yeah, that's what time it is now. It's time to start this all over again, because this is profound information that the Most High is sending to the earth. You know, we had people have a lot of near-death experiences. There's no shortage of them, of the people who are coming back telling you they was going to hell, right? And what does that do? That does a good thing too, because you're able to catch that. And if you're asleep and you're in the world, that usually drives somebody to a Christian church on the corner somewhere, you know what I mean, trying to find God and not go, you know, to a bad place. But, you know, beyond that, we have us, we figure out we Israelites. He sends that wake up, right? We pick up this law, right? We pick up this gospel, and we haven't had a testimony from that side of the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this is different. Because we have a law keeper talking about it. We have one who understands Christ, who Christ has revealed himself to, right? Because he hasn't revealed himself to them Christians. They still think he a white dude, you know what I'm saying, who hates the law. That's not true. He loves the law. He said he didn't come to do away with any of the law, but to fulfill the law. And he's a black man with an afro, right? In all actuality. So, coming from somebody who understands Christ, on a level like this, this is where this testimony is coming from. And I'm telling y'all, I saw the hospital room. I didn't see no other part of this earth. You have people, they go into uh visions where, things is happening. Like this one dude told a story that when he died, he was on a motorcycle. He was a bike rider. And you know how you going through the mountains and the mountain is riding along the side, of a cliff. So he said he crashed it. He's already dead, but he's riding his bike. And then he goes and he crashes. And he says he goes over the embankment and he's coming down, and he said it's fire where he's going down into, and he said faces of his friends that passed before him start coming out of the fire saying, no, go back, don't come down here, you don't want to be down here, brother, go back, and he says he's brought back from that, and then he turns into this devout Christian from that and all of that. He was in, I guess, in a motorcycle gang, but there's no shortage of stories like that. We could find them all day, but what I saw was different. You know what I'm saying? You have the other thing, people say they see tunnels, they're walking through a tunnel, they see a light at the end, and what you see at the end of that tunnel, that varies. You might come out the tunnel as good or bad. You You don't know. You got to go to the opening and walk out, and then you'll learn your fate upon then. Some people know that they're gonna walk out into something bad because they're feeling heat and seeing fire and seeing lava in the tunnel with them and stuff when they walking toward the light. But it's a lot of stories out there. And the trip is I'm thinking about all of these stories that I heard while I'm going through my thing, and I'm telling myself, like, man, where's all of that stuff out? I'm not seeing none of that stuff. And I never heard any of them talk about how good this is feeling, because that feeling never stopped growing. Matter of fact, it was still on me when I got back here. It took me a couple of days to shake that love, that joy feeling that was on me. You know what I mean? Took a couple of days for that to come off of me, for it to wear off, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of stories, but we get our story, right? The true brews, right? The Hebrews, the Israelites after Yeshaya, you know what I'm saying? This is when we get ours, right? And the Most High wanted this message directly among us, right? But okay, now 2015, that's when I was selected. 2014, my whole world went haywire, went crazy, right? Because of this music, I believe, it started gaining traction, and who knows what's happening out there. We'll see that, you know. I believe, the Most High, He plays all of that. If I'm not sure, He plays our good and our bad. And I'm sure I'm going to see how all of y'all cried in the dark to this music and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And however it affected you and, the way it made you want to change your life and all of that. But this was unheard of back in 2013 when this stuff started gaining traction, late 2012, early 2013. When them numbers start exploding the way they was doing, I know that sent like a culture shock out there. You know what I'm saying? Praise the higher, praise his holy name. But yeah, I had to wear that. Who them demons you think who you think they looked at? They looked at me, right? So 2014 or so, I saw my whole life go crazy. Everything turned against me, you know what I'm saying? Money got funny, you know what I'm saying? Jobs was lost, funds was lost, couldn't pay the rent, you know what I'm saying? Or the mortgage, you know what I'm saying? Couldn't afford it. Everything went crazy. People came against us, criminal cases came, you know what I'm saying? You know, uh lost the kids, right? They came against us. We didn't want to vaccinate. We didn't want to drink the infamil. We didn't want to do any of these kind of things. They chalked that up as child abuse. And the charges that came on us was criminal, you know. Uh, and then from there, they went around to my wife's family members who barely knew me. They didn't know me that much to be speaking how they were speaking. They were speaking like they knew me. They had only like met me a few times. You know what I'm saying? But uh, if they want to throw me under the bus, the police will take that. CPS and them, they'll make a report on that. And they put all of that stuff in the discovery as if true. So whether it's true or not, once you read it to the court, they looking at you like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was a total setup, family. You know, so now we in court. We going through court. The kids are somewhere else. They didn't took the kids. I'm dealing with all of that. I'm going through all of that, and guess what? We have people in the in this whole cops to CPS workers to lawyers. Everybody who tried to help us, they got fired and bad things happened to them. Like we seen them, get reprimanded. It was crazy the way the devil was operating. I'm watching all of this, just go crazy like this. The church, well, I can't even blame that on the church. That was brother Elder Gabar from Judah, not the one on the East Coast, but the one on the West Coast, the brother, the black dude, right? He was leading the church at the time. He came against me, right? Start doing all of this lying on me, stuff that I mean, a lot of y'all heard him was like, please, it didn't do nothing, but he did try it, and he did put the words out there and all of that, trying to defame me and all of that, and defamation of character and all of that. He did do that. He made videos and everything, but that was after he went to the elders and talked all kind of crazy stuff. Man, I'm telling you, it was hard, and the team that was going at that time, brother Izzy, brother Kazak, the other Kazak, brother Shofar, you know, uh, uh, Gabar Malak. Some of y'all might remember him. We did a lot of music, and that's who was leading the church at that time, And when they taught whatever they taught, some 400-year prophecy or something like that, I was nowhere around. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I believe differently, but my name got lumped into all of that. And Brother Bronze, and I wasn't there. I didn't have nothing to do with that. But I mean, so that got me booted out the church, right? Uh, and they didn't want to talk to me or nothing. They didn't want to have nothing to say to me or nothing. I remember Elder Gabar on the East Coast, he put an email out, yeah, all of the names, and he had my name in there because they was bringing me up, but a lot of things have happened like that. A lot of people have put my name in things like that, and you just got to sit it out, man, and truth does prevail, so a lot of the times things like that happen, and it's really to test your faith, and and to teach you temperance and long suffering and things like that. You just got to be quiet, and and you just got to let those things play out, and if it be the will of the Most High, you'll come out on top of those things. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be able to watch the spirit work, and if it doesn't, then there's a reason. The Most High needs people to look at you the way they look at you, you know for whatever reason, his will be done, uh but you can imagine how beautifully that's going to work out for you in the end, right? If you're sitting there, you being false accused, and you just take that, right, and you take everything that comes with that, the Most High ain't gonna let something like that happen to you, right, without you coming out much better than you would have if it didn't happen, right? And that's what I be telling brothers and sisters when when we're having that conversation and they're telling me about all of this. And it always frees us up when I tell you, well, what if that's the only way you get into the kingdom, brother? What if by that happening to you, you get a free kingdom card, right? And what if that was the Most High's will? Because you wouldn't have made it no other way. You'd have went straight to hell any other way. Doing all that you could possibly do, you still would have failed, right? And went to that lake, right? And what if this incident and this thing that's going on and everything that comes out of this, all of this scrutiny, all of this, you know, these left-wing feelings that get put upon you and suffering that and going through that, what if that's the only way you make it into the kingdom, brother or sister? So all praises, right? When we change to a lower estate, man, we still got to praise the Most High and appreciate that and trust him, and trust his decision and his decrees and things, you know so you know I had to definitely point that out uh while I was on the subject of that, right? But yeah, it was crazy. A bunch of things had happened. 2000 2014 is when it all started going left. I'm reading the transcripts of what my wife's family is saying, and it almost seems like they coerced them into what to say. And they was, man, that devil was desperate. He was breaking all kind of laws, right? In that criminal case. And, you know, all of these people got fired, people calling us, lawyers calling us, hey, I got fired, you know. I really wish I could help y'all. I can't help y'all no more. I didn't have a job no more. Like, it was crazy stuff that was like happening. You know what I'm saying? And then it was 2015. It had really gotten bad, Uh I'm ready to go hurt somebody, right? And I came to a fork in the road. And it's like, okay, what do you do? I'm here now. I'm at this fork in this road. And it's like, it got so bad to it was like, what are you gonna do? You gonna live or you gonna die? Right? Now check this out. If I'm gonna die, right, I'm gonna get the cuete, right? And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take my kids and I'm gonna hit the Mexican border somewhere, right? And I might hurt somebody, you know, according to all of the things they were saying about me and the way they lied on me. And, it ain't a lie where, they like imagining things or over exaggerating. No, it's like total lies. Like, where this come from? You know, but yeah, that'll make a brother violent, man. And I was really contemplating hurting some people, you know. I wanted to see the look in their eyes, like, yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you messed up. You shouldn't have done that, That look in the eyes, if you've ever been an aggressive person like that and you know how that looks, I wanted to see that, in my wife's family's eyes, you know, like a vigilante movie, when they kill his wife or something, he go hunt them down one by one. Those are good movies. We love those movies, you know. But I was sitting in that seat, I'm getting ready to go punish people, and that's the bad side. If I would have chose bad, it would have been that. Or you can choose this, 6-year persona that you done built up for yourself as somebody named Brother Bronze, right? And you can choose the most high and choose what is righteousness and choose all of, such and such and blah blah. So I chose the righteousness. And I said, forget everything going on back there. Yeah, I know how it looks, you know. I know how it feels. I don't like how it feels, you know. I know how people would think of me like, man, he let them do that to him. I threw all of those thoughts in the trash, right? And I was, I died then. I died then, Forget whatever earthly image matters to the rest of this world and all of that. Forget even me. Forget my feelings. Throw all of that in the trash. We gonna do this for the Most High. And I started doing it really for, I thought I was doing it for the Most High, but that is doing it for the Most High after that happens, right? And that's when I fully stepped into the shoes of the new man, right? And I let everything on the other side of me die, right? And that's when I chose the love, right? And that's when the sound of the music it started changing gradually, right? And I do about a year of that. It took about a year for me to prove myself to the love, right? And it was 2015, and I had my book out. I'm reading, right? And I got a beat going. I got my computer open, right? I'm writing the rhyme at the same time. That's the way I used to do these songs. You know what I'm saying? I have all of this stuff open, all of this stuff going at the same time. And I'm writing and I'm reading and I'm flipping to this part of the book, that part, to make sure I don't misphrase anything. And I'm doing all, you know what I mean? And I'm doing that. And guess what? it get warm, kind of like that warmth that came and got me, but not to the extent of what happened in 2003. But it did get warm, and I noticed it, and I stopped, and I looked around, and I said, "What is this feeling?" Right? And and it hit me, boom. And when I think about it, it hit me again, boom. I'm like, okay, just to let me know, nah, you're not mistaken. Something's hitting you, right? And man, I was so sad and so down, and I'm trying to get my kids back, and all of this is going on, right? And yeah, that's what happened, man. That feeling came and hit me, and it just felt like joy. I wasn't sad no more. Matter of fact, I had never been this happy in my life ever. And I'm like, what is this? And even, we ask what it is, even though we know, we still ask what is this. I knew it was the most high, and I knew it was all of my decisions that I had been making, right? And what I have been doing. I bowed down, right? I bowed down. I could have been mean. I was being nice, right? I'm doing deeds and things, I had proved myself to the love, and the love was proving itself back to me. That's what was going on. And I was being selected, right? I was being selected, you know, but man, it felt so good. And I leaned forward like this, and it's like, man, I want to cry, but I'm not crying, right? But water just start coming out of my face, right? I notice it's falling, so I try to catch some, and I try to wipe my eyes like that's going to help. And then it just poured, right? And then I really started crying, because I'm like, man, what's going on? It was emotional, it was overwhelming, and I was by myself, right? And that's what I was talking about on our last conversation. That if somebody would have been sitting with me right there, that probably wouldn't have happened to me like that the way it did. You know what I'm saying? And also, don't expect this to happen to you when the love chooses you. I don't know if this is going to happen to you or not. This is just what happened to me, right? In 2015, right? So, man, I noticed this is an enormous amount of water, right? Like everything in front of me was wet. My hands was wet. I'm like, man, water came out of my face, right? And I left what I had going. I jumped up. I went outside, and man, I'm just going. And I'm telling everybody whatever I could tell them, anybody who I could see, I was going to tell them about the Most High. I'm seeing our people, telling them they the children of Israel. It was just, I just had a whole crazy day that day. I will never forget that day, right? I got on some slides, right? I got some slides on. I run into a man. He's trying to push his car out the road, but it ain't working out for him. So I jump behind his car, and I run myself out of my shoes, you know what I'm saying? And I get his car out the road for him, and I turn around, I gotta go back and get my shoes. It was crazy, man. It was a crazy day, right? And then I go home and I rest. And then I wake up, and music is different. Everything is different. My whole life changed from that moment going forward, right? And commandments of love come out of this day, right? And whoever I turned into after that. Songs like that start flowing, love's gonna get you, the mark of peace, songs like this start coming, and that's where those songs came from, you know, and we see what those songs did for a lot of us. So that was, Rawak, y'all, straight from the heavens, coming in here and greeting us and loving on us and picking us up and building us up in this new decision we have made to live for the Most High and for the law and for the gospel, in the things of the truth, and that's when I was selected. right? And it never changed after that. I'm always looking to do a deed. I'm always looking to forgive somebody. I'm always looking to take the low road. I'm just explaining the years going forward from 2015. And 2023 would make that 5 years, or what's 7 years? 2022, right? Or 2018, another feeling jumps on me. The Most High start asking something else of me. I won't talk about that until the day where I can, because that's still in motion. I don't want to ruin that, But 2018, something happens, you know. Uh, 2025, this year makes that 7 years, you know, makes that 7 years. So something's gonna happen this year regarding that. And I already tried to push it, but we'll talk about that when that's done manifesting. You know what I'm saying? But 2015 to 2025 is 10 years, right? So, you know, perfectly 10 years after that, right? If you look at your life and you look at when things are happening, the Most High always has a set amount of time where he moves and where he does things, or where he calls things off, where he says, okay, that's enough. Or where, where you put in your dues, where you've done your time for a specific thing, you know, it's always 7 years, sometimes it's 10 years, but mostly it's going to be 7 years, you know, 7 years, a lot. Sometimes it's 7 months. It's always, watch that number seven, y'all. But yeah, it's 2023 where I'm thinking something. He put the feeling on me in 2018, and I ignore it and I go against it for the love, you know, and it's 2023 will make that 5 years where he pulls me out and he says, he makes it clear that, yeah, what you was feeling was right. That is what I want from you. That's what I'm expecting from you right now. And I'm not going to let up until you do it, right? And that's 2023, where I get called up out of here, you know, and I still come back. And of course, I got to get myself together and all of that. That's how long it took, really, for me to get myself together, was 2 more years. Look how brilliant that is, right? So now we're 7 years from 2018, right? When you start to understand him, when you start to understand, when you start to understand him and the way our power works, man, it's whew, right? So start looking at the things of your life right now, you know, when you went into certain struggles and when you came out, right? And different things like that. Uh, I bet you will start finding a lot of 7 years in there, right? So all praises to the Most High, But that was another thing that was understood in 2023 when I had my experience. I knew that that was that selection making its collection, right? And that was when the love had chosen me. It didn't choose me in 2023. It chose me in 2015, right? And it took me a long time to start telling anybody about what happened in 2015, right? I remember when I started sharing that with people, but for years, I kept that to myself, right? But yeah, something exploded. Boom. Oh, what is that? And I mean, don't hold yourself, beneath that, because it might not happen to you like that. It might have already happened to you and you didn't catch it, or you thought it was something else, or it was mixed up with some other incident that was going on in your life. You know, maybe it happened while you was in a moment of, another kind of a joy or something. Because that used to happen too. Tears used to come out of my face, and I'm like, wait, this ain't no reason to be crying. Why are you, you know? I mentioned that in Rawat. You think I'm crying for this? I'm crying for something else. You know what I'm saying? Remember that? Yeah. So something like that might have happened. You know, maybe you're already chosen by the love. It's some people who I speak to, and I can hear in your speech. You've already been chosen by the love. If your heart was to stop, you would go straight into that realm that I went into. You know, but be chosen by love, fam, and if not, choose the love. And you're gonna have the love ain't gonna just jump on your back because you choose it. It's gonna make you prove yourself. I had to prove myself to the love, you know, and it came and got me, you know, twice. It came and got me once where it changed. It changed the way I was walking around. It changed the way I looked at people. It changed the way, it changed the way I spent my money, you know. It spent the way I got rid of things I didn't want anymore. It was crazy. Some crazy story. If something happens to me, I'll be ready for some crazy stories to come out, because I can imagine that that's when people are gonna want to talk about our relationship. The children of Israel, we hold the good news in. We tend to do that. Now the bad stuff, that's gonna fly fast. Soon. It's no lie that bad news travels fast, right? Bad news travels fast. We hold in the good news, right? And I want to encourage y'all, if you're listening, man, start letting that good news fly. You know, Not about our relationship or nothing, but I'm just talking about period. We gotta combat it, right? It don't matter how small it is. Let's start putting that in the air and start working our way into the earth with this good news, right? With this good news, because we are supposed to be the people who are combating the bad of the earth, right? How better to do that than to just say some good news, right? That's why I told the story of the flat tire yesterday. Man, Issachar jumped out their vehicle. Man, you know, that was good news. I didn't need him to come and do that, but just to see that there's still a helping hand out there, you know, and how the Most High sends refuge for us, man. And he didn't want me down there on my knees changing that tire, in my fresh white shoes, you know what I'm saying? And, before I could even get a chance to really get busy, they came and they did that, but it don't matter how small it is, if you pull up in the front of the store and your park ready, tell somebody about that, because the evil spirits hate that, right? They don't want you to be talking about it's bad enough it happened. They don't want you to be talking about it, and you tell somebody else and they say, all praises to the Most High. And you say, yeah, all praises to the Most High. And y'all saying that back and forth to each other. Man, the evil realm is just like, they hate that, right? Gloat in their face, right? And the more aggressive they try to get, the more aggressive the Most High is going to get. I do that all day long. I just sit back and just watch the Most High and evil battle all day. Something bad happened. Oh, okay. Watch this. Watch what the Most High is about to do. And I'm watching, right? Bang, there go the Most High, right? Bang, here come evil again, right? Okay, now where you at, Father? Where you at? Bang, here he come again, right? And they just battle all day like that. So don't fall apart soon as something bad happens. No, watch for the Most High. He's coming. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, he gonna let you lay in that, right? He ain't gonna come. He ain't gonna show up, right? So that's why my speech is the way it is, and I treat you the way I do, and I tell you I love you, and I this and that, and I'm looking for what I can do for people. It don't matter if it's a stranger, in the truth, out the truth, if I know them, if I don't know them, whatever the case is, I'm always looking, with my hand to the plow. And that's what he wants to see. He don't want to see us willful sinning either, right? He don't want to see us doing that, right? He don't want to see no iniquity, right? Which is sin that we know is a sin, but we still gonna do it, right? For whatever reason. He don't want to see that, right? He don't want to see us causing trouble, starting arguments, right? Cause you ever feel that feeling that rise up in you when you arguing with somebody? That's evil, right? That's evil. And the devil and his demons, they're gloating in the moment like that. And you fussing back and forth with somebody and you saying the worst things that could come to your mind because you're trying to hurt them. The devil is flourishing in that moment. That will stop the things you've been praying for. You know what I'm saying? You've been praying and you just working your way along, and the Most High is like, yeah, okay, keep on doing that, keep on coming, and you're halfway through it and you have a verbal altercation. Mm-mm. Nah, you supposed to be letting that go, right? And that's just a little spiritual game for you. You know what I'm saying? To have you understand maybe why the things you pray for take so long, or things like that. Stay in the spirit that you pray in, right? But we're a minute over, a minute and 35 seconds over. Another hour knocked down. All praises to a higher. Let me get some sevens. Let me get some sevens if y'all got that. If we still live, right? And let's get chosen by the love. And if we probably already chosen by the love, you know. And if we know we're not chosen by the love, let's get chosen by it. You know, maybe that thing happens to you. Maybe a bunch of water comes out your face. I don't know. Maybe you go crazy and spill out into the streets, right? Trying to save the world. Who knows? Who knows what happens? But choose the love if you haven't chosen the love yet, because I can guarantee you that the love does also choose ye, right? Because I was selected, and in 2003, Salakia 2023, I was collected, right? I went back to that feeling that had chosen me in 2015, and I went into a spiritual realm, and I probably blasted eons away to wherever it sat, and I entered into that room, and I seen it, and I saw what was pulling me. I saw that energy that pulled me all the way out of the earth, right? And I was about to touch it, but I didn't touch it. Didn't touch. I came back, right? Because you needed to hear this, right? So I'm back. Happy first day of the week, right? Pray y'all enjoyed y'all Sabbath yesterday. Much love to y'all, right? And it's different when I say that, right? When I use the L word, believe it's packed, it's stuck. You can't zip it up, huh? It's overflowing, right? I love y'all, right? And we're gonna go and we're gonna spend eternity in that, right? So all praises to a higher. Anybody want to ask me anything before I check off of here? See if I could find any question marks. I'm looking for question marks. If there's a question mark over. Shalom, everybody who I didn't tell Shalom. I see you here. Praise a higher. Let's read what this is. I seen 3 pagan gods when I was floating out the earth, and without words, I acknowledged that they weren't God. And I fell back down to my body. Wow, that's crazy. My brother Ruben Israel. That's Ruben Israel speaking. You saw three pagan gods. That's deep. Three of them. I can imagine that was a warning, brother. That was a warning. You know, that was definitely a warning. I'm glad you got back here and, we're involved, right? Because they don't know how me and you was involved. All praises to the Most High. I love you, my brother, and I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad that wasn't it for you, right? I miss your music, brother. Why you miss it? King David, it's still there. That's residual. I bet you ain't listening to all the over 500 songs, right? Y'all gonna find you. Y'all be finding Jews back there, man. It's songs that sat back there for 5, 6, 7 years in the 3,000 view range, right? And then one day I go in there and it's 25,000 views. Like, you guys can go back there and find a jewel and blow that mug up as you please, right? So long as I'm not making music, y'all catch up on the rest of that stuff back there. There's some stuff back there that you're gonna find. I hear it all the time. How did I miss this one? You wasn't paying attention. That's how you missed it, right? Praise the higher. Demons thinking, how dare you waking up? Right, right. Yahweh Daban Yasha Allah. Huh. Yeah. He knew what the Most High had placed in you and how it would help so many on this walk. Khan Gabar Ma. Praise the higher. And we don't got nothing to worry about, y'all. We gonna be all right. The Father gonna see to it. Sister Valerie, that's how they do. I can't stand them. And don't call 12 either. I don't mess with them, especially. Yeah, they try to throw me under the bus for real, Valerie. But yeah, that's the 7th minute, y'all. Let me see. Let me see if it's a question mark down here. No, ain't one. Okay, then we'll go live next time we go live. I'm trying to do this with y'all every day, So if I miss a day, know that I didn't mean to miss a day. Something went on over on this side, right? But yeah, we're gonna catch up, y'all. Let's cut this in the 107th minute. All praises to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom. Y'all have a good rest of the day, and we're gonna chime in tomorrow and talk about something. Shalom.